Herovit's World. The first Malzberg that I have read. By the way, it's very hot, sunny, and it's the middle of July for sure. So I'm roasting out here. This might be a snappy one just so I can make sure I get my thoughts out in a succinct manner. But it's beautiful. I figured it'd be a good day to record by the lake with how nice it is outside, but it is warm. And this book was like sitting out here in the sun for a while. It was an experience, a somewhat painful experience. This is a lot like the Joanna Russ book I read, We Who Are About To. That review's up on the channel as well if you want to go check it out. But really hard to read, like painfully disturbing in some places, where you're not reading Malzberg for a fun science fiction ride through space. You're reading him for some really deep, introspective, uncomfortable place. He goes to some uncomfortable places in this book, and it's not easy to read. I think that's off the rip. That's what I'll say about it. I have this pocketbooks edition that is relatively frail, but I found at a half price books for just a couple of bucks, and I couldn't believe it. You don't run into Malzberg really ever out in the wild, especially in decent shape. But we follow a man named Herovit, who is a science fiction writer. And I think throughout this, Barry Malzberg is kind of inserting himself as the character Herovit, or Herovit. Yeah. I mean, just like the title says, Herovit. That's our main character's name. But I feel like Malzberg really does critique the genre as a whole and what it was like at this time writing through the character, because we follow this character who's just kind of past his prime writing. He's got a really troubled marriage with a new baby, and he's been contracted to write more, but he's really struggling with finding what should he continue writing. And we get these interstitial like moments from this book he's trying to write, and I'm trying to remember what the character he's writing his name is. Let me see if I can find it really quick. I should have glanced through really quick before starting. Kirk Poland, I think, is his name. I feel like that's right. Apologies if it's not. There's a character that he keeps cutting to in this book that is his current novel he's working on, that he's trying to sell. And we start to get this very confused and non-reliable Herovit, who is, he's talking to this character as if he's in the room with him. He's binge drinking a lot. He just has no, he's unraveling throughout this story. And the ending is one of the most like memorable and crushing endings that I can remember in any science fiction that I've read, where Malzberg is just so, his writing is just, it's dreary. There's nothing about it that makes me feel joy. It's just so nihilistic, or hopeless isn't the right word, but because he's trying to tell you something through it, and I don't think a hopeless person would write this way. But you can tell he has some demons he's fighting, and I think, like I said, I think he channels some of his writing demons through this, because he had a challenging time as an author, being kind of ostracized by some of his peers and whatnot. And I'm sure most of you who are watching this are at least familiar with Malzberg. He's had a resurgence thanks to especially Matt over at BookTube. And I've admired how much that his books and Joanna Russ, did I say Tanith at the beginning? Maybe I did. Joanna Russ, she's the one that wrote We Who Are About To that I referenced. Those kind of people, I'm going to hold this so it's not dangling all over the place. I've admired how much they've challenged me, because this is not a book I would pick up normally and get excited about, but it's worth going through, reading challenging books. So while Malzberg isn't necessarily my favorite by any account, and I'm not sure when I'll revisit him, I have a book called, I think, On a Planet Alien is the title. Another one of the pocket science fictions, just like this one. It's the only other Malzberg that I own. I don't know when I'll revisit it, his work, but he really. I'm trying to figure out a way to describe it where it's almost like you're getting surgery and you know it's going to be painful, but the doctor's like, the surgery's going to work better if we don't put you under for this and we don't give you as many anesthetics. And you're like, so like, I'm going to learn something, but it's going to be painful. I'm going to get something out of this, but it's going to be painful. And that's very much how I read this. There's a really uncomfortable section in the second half of the book that involves a prostitute that is just very disturbing and not enjoyable at all. And so I don't know. There's some moments in here where I'm like, you really he swung for the fences, so to speak. But I don't know. I just have a lot of respect for his writing because it's unashamed and it's saying exactly what he wants to say. There's no fluff in this book. It's 160 pages, and he doesn't cut corners. He writes it exactly how he wants to, it seems. And while this isn't necessarily Beyond Apollo or some of his bigger known works, I think I would recommend this book for those of you that can stomach it, because it's a rough one, but it's at the end. I haven't spoiled anything yet, but at the end you get to a place where you're kind of like, where can this character go at this point? He's unraveled so much that we don't know where he's going to turn next. And I'll just spoil the very end for those of you who want to know my thoughts on the end. So if you want to read it, here's your spoiler alert. He is so confused in his made-up world that he has created, where he genuinely thinks that he is on another planet of some sort, whether it's drug infused, drinking infused, or whatever. He's lost his mind completely. His wife leaves him and takes the baby with her, and he's lost it completely. And I think him, if I remember right, thinks he is the character in his book, which is like a spaceman, so to speak, and he's fighting aliens. So he goes out in the street and like he sees all these people walking on the street, and he thinks that they're aliens. He's so disassociated with his environment that he thinks that they are on an alien planet, and he is. I think Kirk Poland was the name of the character, and he gets hit by a car, and we see him like literally die at the end. It's been a while since I've read this book, so forgive me if I kind of botched that ending, but that's how I remember it. And it was kind of jaw-dropping at the end, where I'm like, yep, that seems to be the only way that this character could find his ending. And not to say that you can't ever, I believe in redemption big time. Redemption arcs and stories are some of the most fun, but the way that Malzberg writes, I just kind of could figure where we were headed, at least in the larger, more general scope, that it was not going to be a happy ending, and it sure wasn't. So yeah, like I said, I don't know if I would recommend this to you if you're looking for a lighter science fiction read. He might be one of the most dark authors as far as his content goes. So he's not somebody that I would recommend to you if you can't stomach some pretty harsh content. But and I don't think he was condoning it. That's one thing I've kind of been frustrated with about modern day audiences for books and movies and whatnot, is just because a creator writes something that's very uncomfortable and not okay doesn't mean that they're condoning it by writing it. I don't think Malzberg was a condoner of violence or crime or whatever. I think he explored his characters through some of the most grim acts that you can imagine and grim circumstances, whether by their own choices or not. And I think that that's true to the human experience to some degree. Is you got some messed up people in this world. I think we're all messed up in our own ways. And Malzberg was trying to explore some of that human psychological battle that we have with ourselves a little bit, in the form of, the main character being an author, he was an author, and so I think a lot of his experiences were probably channeled through this book, as I said. But yeah, that's kind of all I have to say about this one. It's a relatively short book. It's 160 pages, so it's not. It doesn't have a ton of content for me to dissect here and now, but I feel like you get a good picture of kind of what you're in for if you read his books. This one, and so I'll probably read On a Planet Alien sometime in the second half of this year. Maybe I might wait till 2026, but we'll see. I'm wanting to slowly work my way into his works because you do have to kind of prepare yourself for the depths that you're going to go into. It's not a fun, roller coaster ride. And I feel like I'm repeating myself now, so that's a good point to end the video. Thank you as always for watching. Dad Like Book, Herovitz's World by Herovitz. It's hard to pronounce. Herovit '. Herovitz's World is how I would pronounce that. I could be wrong, but anyway, that's my first Barry Malzberg. More to come on the channel at some point from Barry, but appreciate you tuning into this review. Like, comment, subscribe, do all the stuff, and I want to hear your thoughts on this thing. So yeah, hope you enjoyed the lake as well. If you like this scenery, let me know in the comments, because I'm enjoying coming out here and doing this. I found a relatively quiet time to do this today, so it's been nice. But all right, again, I don't know how to end a video, so that's it. I'll see you guys next time. Appreciate you.